The Godfather. Just the name sends chills down your spine. We remember the gunshots, the whispers, the blood. But what if we told you the real tragedies didn't happen on screen? They happened after the director yelled, "Cut!" What happened to the icons behind cinema's greatest crime saga? Today, we look beyond the film, beyond the family, and into the real lives of those who brought The Godfather to life and left it far too soon. Marlon Brando. When Marlon Brando accepted the role of Don Vito Corleone, many thought his career was over. Known for being difficult on set and marked by box office failures, he surprised everyone with a quiet, commanding performance that won him an Oscar and revived his legacy. Off-screen, his life was far more turbulent. Brando had multiple marriages and strained relationships with his children. In 1990, his son Christian was convicted of manslaughter. 5 years later, his daughter Cheyenne died by suicide. Brando later admitted, "I was a terrible father." In his final years, he lived reclusively, battling obesity, diabetes, and pulmonary fibrosis. He died on July 1, 2004, at age 80. His ashes were scattered in Tahiti and Death Valley places that spoke to his lifelong desire for escape. Brando gave us one of cinema's most iconic characters. Yet behind the camera, he was a man chasing redemption, but never quite catching it. James Caan. James Caan brought Sonny Corleone to life with unmatched force. Hot-headed, charismatic, and physical, he became the face of raw masculinity in The Godfather. His performance earned him an Oscar nomination and gave the film one of its most brutal scenes, Sonny's ambush at the toll booth. Off-screen, Caan's life mirrored that intensity. He battled cocaine addiction and depression during the 1980s, especially after the death of his sister. At one point, he disappeared from film entirely. He later admitted turning down roles in Star Wars and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, decisions he regretted for the rest of his life. Though he returned in films like Misery and Elf, Caan struggled with failed marriages and financial strain. He died on July 6, 2022, at age 82, from heart failure and coronary artery disease. Like Sonny at the toll booth, he went down fighting. Loud, fiery, unforgettable. His energy burned bright, and it never truly faded. Which moment from The Godfather left a mark on you? Share it in the comments. We read every single one. John Cazale. John Cazale's Fredo Corleone wasn't a villain, he was a tragedy. Nervous, unsure, heartbreakingly human. Cazale gave the role quiet depth, making Fredo one of cinema's most memorable, forgotten sons. Incredibly, Cazale starred in just 5 films. Every single one. The Godfather, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon, The Godfather Part 2, The Deer Hunter was nominated for Best Picture. No actor has matched that record. But behind that legacy was a race against time. Diagnosed with terminal lung cancer during The Deer Hunter, Cazale insisted on finishing the film. Robert De Niro reportedly paid his insurance so he could stay on. Meryl Streep, his partner, stayed with him until the very end. He died on March 13, 1978, at just 42. He never lived to see The Deer Hunter released. Cazale didn't need decades to make his mark. In just 6 years, he became a symbol of fragile brilliance and proved that quiet roles can leave the loudest echoes. Richard Castellano. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. With one improvised line, Richard Castellano turned Peter Clemenza into a legend. Audiences loved his blend of menace and humor, a loyal soldier with unexpected charm. But while his character was central to The Godfather, Castellano vanished from the sequel. Disputes with the director over creative control and rumors he demanded to approve his own dialogue led to his removal. Clemenza was replaced by a new character, and Castellano quietly faded from Hollywood's spotlight. Despite other roles in television and film, nothing matched his moment as Clemenza. He carried a physical presence and a wit that made him unforgettable in just a few scenes. On December 10, 1988, he died of a heart attack at age 55. No big farewell, no second act. Just one perfect moment, preserved forever in film. Castellano didn't need a trilogy to make history. Sometimes, one line is enough to live forever. Did you know John Cazale starred in only 5 films and all were nominated for Best Picture? Hit like if that blew your mind. Sterling Hayden. Sterling Hayden never wanted to be a movie star. He was a sailor, a war hero, a man who preferred the open sea to studio lights. But when he appeared as the corrupt Captain McCluskey in The Godfather, his towering presence and dead-eyed brutality made an immediate impact. Hayden's life read like a novel. He ran away to sea at 17, served with distinction in the OSS during World War II, testified before the House Un-American Activities Committee and later regretted it. Hollywood was never home. It was a paycheck, something he used to fund his next voyage. That tension showed in his work. He didn't glamorize McCluskey, he made him ugly, real, a man rotting from the inside. Then he disappeared again. He died on May 23, 1986, from prostate cancer at the age of 70. Far from the cameras, closer to the water he always loved. Hayden's legacy isn't about stardom, it's about defiance. In a town built on image, he chose authenticity and, in doing so, left behind something far more enduring. Richard Conte. Richard Conte didn't need volume to command attention. As Don Barzini, the film's calmest and coldest betrayer, he barely raised his voice, yet his presence loomed like a shadow over every meeting. Before The Godfather, Conte had spent decades as one of Hollywood's go-to tough guys. From Cry of the City to The Big Combo, he specialized in quiet, calculating characters. His sharp features and steady glare made him the perfect Barzini, all business, no bluster. Off-screen, Conte was known as a disciplined, private professional. He rarely courted the spotlight, preferring the work to speak for itself, and it did clearly, coolly, dangerously. He died on April 15, 1975, just 3 years after The Godfather premiered, from a heart attack at the age of 65. He was still working, still sharp, still very much Barzini even in his final years. Richard Conte didn't ask for attention. He earned it quietly, precisely, and permanently. If you grew up watching these legends, you're one of us lovers of true cinema. Subscribe and join a community that remembers. Alex Rocco. Before Hollywood knew him as Mo Greene, Alex Rocco was running with real gangsters in Boston. Arrests, gang wars, and a car bombing eventually convinced him to flee. He flipped a coin heads for Miami, tails for California. Fate sent him west, and with it, a second life began. In The Godfather, he played the flashy Vegas casino boss who stood up to Michael Corleone and paid for it with a bullet through the eye. That moment became one of the most iconic executions in movie history. Rocco brought authenticity to the role because he had lived parts of it. He once admitted, "If I stayed in Boston, I was going to die." Acting wasn't just a career, it was survival. Over the years, he embraced a softer path, voice roles, TV comedy, even a daytime Emmy, but he never shed the edge. Audiences always saw the mobster behind the smile. He died on July 18, 2015, from pancreatic cancer, at age 79. He lived 2 lives, one written in rap sheets, the other in film reels. Both ended with a bullet, but only one made him immortal. Abe Vigoda. He played Salvatore Tessio, the trusted old friend who turned traitor with a quiet, heartbreaking plea. "Can you get me off the hook, Tom? For old time's sake. No screaming, no excuses. Just resignation." Off-screen, Vigoda became something else entirely, a cultural punchline for not dying. A false obituary in 1982 sparked a decades-long running gag from magazine jokes to late-night skits. Vigoda played along, even posing in a coffin holding the article that declared him dead. He leaned into the joke because he understood something deeper. Being forgotten is worse than being gone. But he wasn't just a meme. After The Godfather, he found success on Barney Miller, where his deadpan expressions and lumbering presence made him a fan favorite.
In an emergency, you would be the first one I would call.
You should call me first. I need time to put my teeth in.
You busy Thursday night, Fish?
Why?
Well, I thought you'd get your wife, I'd pick up a chick, we'd go out and have some laughs.
I'd like to, but I can't. My wife made plans to soak her feet Thursday night.
He never became a leading man, but he didn't need to. He was unforgettable in silence. On January 26, 2016, at the age of 94, Abe Vigoda actually died. This time, it was real. No punchline. Just a quiet farewell to a man who'd been counted out too early and stayed longer than anyone expected. He was the traitor we forgave, the punchline we respected, the actor who outlived even his own obituary. We're just getting started. If you want more behind-the-scenes stories like this, make sure to turn on the bell icon. Richard Bright. Richard Bright didn't say much as Al Neri, and he didn't have to. He was the cold, silent hand that carried out Michael Corleone's darkest commands. He executed Don Barzini during the baptism. He shot Fredo in the lake. He delivered justice to the archbishop. When Al Neri appeared, someone was about to die. Bright was one of only a few actors to appear in all three Godfather films. He understood that power doesn't need volume. His eyes, his posture, his silence, they told the story. Off-screen, Bright was the opposite of his character. He came from New York's theater scene, had a passion for experimental work, and fought for creative freedom. But fame never found him. He remained a working actor, respected, but rarely recognized. In 2006, while crossing a street in Manhattan, Bright was struck and killed by a tour bus. He was 68. No headlines, no tributes. Just a quiet death, oddly fitting for a man who made quiet into something terrifying. Richard Bright wasn't a star. He was a shadow. And in the world of The Godfather, shadows often outlast the men who cast them. 1950s. Al Martino. Al Martino didn't just play Johnny Fontane, he lived him. A popular singer in the 1950s. Martino saw his career derailed after allegedly being pressured by the mafia. His recording contract was taken over by mobsters. He fled to England in fear. By the time he returned, the spotlight had moved on. So when Martino stood before Don Corleone, begging for help, the desperation wasn't acted, it was remembered. The tears were real. The voice, weary. The fear, familiar. He wasn't channeling a character, he was reclaiming his own story. Martino's role in The Godfather was brief, but unforgettable. And fittingly, rumors swirled that real-life mob figures helped him secure it just like Johnny Fontane. After the film, he returned to music but never fully escaped the shadow of that one role. In a way, Martino was always stuck outside the door, asking to be let back in. He died of a heart attack on October 13, 2009, at the age of 82. Al Martino didn't just sing about heartbreak, he carried it. And in The Godfather, he turned that pain into legacy. Julie Gregg. She played Sandra Corleone, Sonny's wife, the woman left behind. She had few lines, even fewer close-ups, but her quiet presence was unforgettable. In a world of men, guns, and power, she represented what was sacrificed at home: loyalty without reward, pain without voice. Gregg came from the stage. A Broadway talent with a powerful singing voice, she earned a Tony nomination long before stepping into the Corleone household. Hollywood offered her steady work, but rarely let her shine. Still, she carried herself with grace on screen and off. Sandra's sorrow wasn't loud, but it was real. Gregg didn't dramatize it, she embodied it. Her performance wasn't about lines, but about glances. A look at Sonny, a silence at the dinner table, a presence in the background that made the world feel lived in, and the violence feel personal. Julie Gregg died of cancer on November 7, 2016, at the age of 79. Her passing, like her performances, was quiet but not forgotten. She stood for the ones who stayed, the ones who endured, the ones who never got to speak but were always watching. These actors are gone, but the legacy lives on through their work, and through you. Like, comment, and share this tribute if their stories moved you. And remember, great stories never die. Like a family dinner remembered through decades, their work stays with us. These were more than roles. They were The Godfather. Which performance still lingers in your memory? Comment, like, subscribe, and never forget, great stories live forever.